Okay, welcome. Let's start from the beginning. I am wondering, how was Taisa as a child? Where did she grow up and what things marked her?
Well, I'm Brazilian and I have a lovely family. We are very connected. Um, I have a sister that is just 1 year older than me, and my parents. When we were younger, they used to travel a lot, but since I'm 4 years old, when I got 4, they settled and they have been living in the same house since then. In January, it will be their wedding anniversary, the 50th celebration. So, yeah, I come from this nice and very supportive family. I think somehow my parents thought I should do something else. My father is an engineer, my sister is also an engineer, and her husband. They have been married for like more than 20 years and have kids. They are all settled. And yeah, I don't care about these material things. I don't have a house, I don't have a family, and I love traveling, and I never had a stable job. I always worked with what I love doing. And I can say since I got to know the Ecovillage movement, I got completely in love with it. I did my first Ecovillage training in 2004. And right after, I was already living in a small urban community at that time and doing a lot in our neighborhood. But when, like with all the concepts, I came back from that trip like very inspired and shared the news with my friends, and some others also like did some Ecovillage trainings, and we decided to co-create an Ecovillage. So we did it. We started in Rio, like bringing, it was like 3 or 4 apartments, and we were there for years, like putting energy in developing an exchange trade network in the neighborhood. We co-created a social currency. We organized it like exchange trade fairs once a month, big ones with 100 people from the neighborhood. And then I was very happy with that, but some people wanted more, to kind of build their houses and buy land, and so we did it. It took us 2 years looking for the most perfect land. At that time we were 8 people, and like some would like waterfalls and rivers and springs, and the others didn't want like neighbors so close, and we all wanted like, some would like us to buy a land at the beach in Bahia, and some others were more willing to stay close to Rio, where most of us were based. And at the end we ended up buying a land in Minas Gerais, up in a beautiful region, my favorite, and the Mantiqueira Mountains, like where there are lovely forests, springs, rivers, waterfalls. And we bought this land and we started to co-create Terra Una Ecovillage. I was connected to this group for 10 years. It was a beautiful journey, learning journey. And yeah, at some point there was some conflicts emerging. I was more and more like, we could never, in the initial years, it's really hard to find a way to get money like from the project. We had to invest. And as it was a remote area, we had no internet connection at that time, and we needed to there was 2 old houses, but yeah, we needed to kind of renovate and also build other things. And I was there for short periods and all meetings and so on, but I was still like working in Rio with other things and traveling to work as I always did. And since 2009 I did my EDE at my Ecovillage Design Education program in 2008 in São Paulo. Like, it was an amazing arrangement with the kind of municipality to offer the course in a big city for 100 people for free. And there was like applications, and you needed a nice background, and I had like the skills and right contacts. And then I did it. And after that, I was so like inspired. I said, that's the course we need to spread out, because it brings the best like practices, principles, and everyone who does the EDE can understand like and can find their way into the Ecovillage movement. So I did it in 2008 and decided to organize the first CD in Rio in 2009. And then in 2010 we did the first one in Terra Una Ecovillage. And 11 we took it to Belo Horizonte, another like big city in Brazil. And then people started to call me, Taisa, we need you. I want to do one in the Amazon. The other one wanted to do one to adapt the program to do it with youth or in a huge slum in São Paulo. And I started traveling around to support these programs to take place and teach. And I really love it. And yeah.
Do you think of finding that that Ecovillage movement changed your life? Because I see all the energy that you have put into that later. How was that match?
Yeah, I think since I did my first Ecovillage training, it changed my pathway. I already had the experience of living in community, in a bigger spiritual community in the countryside of São Paulo, inspired by the Finhon Ecovillage. It's called Nazaré. I moved there in 2002, 2003. So I had my experience of community and also small urban communities, but I love to be in community and to do things like together. But there was something missing, and I think the Ecovillage movement, when I heard about it, it brought the principles, like, and the framework. So yeah, since then, for sure, it changed my life. Before that, I was working with communications and filmmaking, documentaries, and after that, I started to work for the movement. And for supporting the Global Ecovillage Network and Gaia Education with trainings, co-creating new trainings, adapting the curriculum, and it's, yeah.
Do you think that like Taisa as a kid would have imagined to end in such a movement? And
No, I don't think so. I think I had a very protected childhood. I was mostly playing around with family and friends, and I grew up by the beach. And no, I can't. I don't know when. No. I just realized it when I was a teenager, like in there's this pressure of like, you have to go to university, you have to decide what you're going to do. And I was like, oh my God, like, because I'm so flexible and adaptable, I could do many things. And then my mother said, maybe it's nice to do a vocational test or so. And my vocational test with a psychologist, I could I could be a lawyer. I could be a journalist, but I could also work with many other things, and I was very good in chemistry. So I thought, oh, maybe I can do engineering and do it. And then I thought, but if I'm locked in a lab, I will be upset. I knew I wanted to work with people, and that's why I chosen communications, because it was more open, more flexible, and could give me more options. And I worked with that for more than 10 years. It was always fun, and I worked with journalism, with advertising, and with TV, and all of that. But there was something missing, to work with. I was looking for the meaning of putting so much energy into something that why I'm investing my energy in that, just to make money to pay for the rent and my living. It was there was something missing. And I think when I did my first Ecovillage training, I found that meaning. I want to focus my energy in something that I believe. And I've been doing it since then.
When we try to put a tag to what we are, like a professor or a filmmaker, now if you had to explain what you are, how would you define that?
This is a hard question. Many people ask me, what's your work exactly? What do you do? And I think it's so different that most of the people don't understand. And I always say that I work for the Ecovillage movement, that I work with education for sustainability. And depending on who asks, I can say I work with sustainable development or community development, or that I'm just an educator. And I work with people. I support building communities, and not only real communities, but I think we can build community everywhere. The community environment, the sense of community. And in a workplace, in an organization, in a real community, within a group, and I think the Ecovillage framework, to do it in a sustainable way, or nowadays in a regenerative way, as holistic as possible, looking at the main aspects of sustainability, it makes sense everywhere. So I just do it.
Yeah, I think it does make sense everywhere, and actually there are these two key factors now when we see how to face these big challenges of climate change and emergency. And you mention them all the time, no? Community and education. How can these two words, community, education, these two concepts, help us shape the path of what humanity has to do now?
I don't know. I feel somehow we decided to live in this transition moment, and I think education has a very special place. We need to raise awareness and to support people learning other ways of living, other ways of doing things. And many of us, if we look at the majority of schools and universities, they are still training people to work on factories. it's a very old kind of education that doesn't serve the world we are living now. And I feel education is key to transition. If you don't touch people in their heart and soul, and if they don't understand, like they are here to contribute to this great transition, how can we do it? Like, I don't see another way. And when I look around, like, I still see eco-villages are not perfect. It's not easy, it's not for everyone, but they are amazing living laboratories for us to see, wow, it could be this way. It can be in very different ways, and but I like to support this transition as much as I can. And for me, community is also crucial, because in the past there were only communities. Like, life conditions were very adverse. People could not live alone, and there were the tribes. And it's beautiful. If I'm Brazilian, and if I ask like Brazilian indigenous people who they are, they're going to tell first the name of the community and then their own name, because they belong to that community. And I think somehow with like modernity, we lost this connection. And now I have to take care of, I need to build a house, I need my own car, I need mine, and we don't know how to work together anymore. And there are so many conflicts, and we won't be able to manage it like by ourselves. We need to like give hands and learn how to do it together. And it's not easy. How to take decisions together, how to manage conflicts, how to, like, we have to relearn how to live in the sense of community. And I think I like to research it and to learn by doing and to share about my learnings. And I think it's crucial.
Yeah, it is. And from your experience, this relearning process, how challenging can it be to shift from all these learnings of productivity and individualism to a more community-focused approach of, collaboration and co-creation and just contribution?
I think each person has a different like process, and for me it's much more fun to do things together. And I love the power of community, like how many things we can do together that we could not if we were by ourselves. And I don't know, it just happened to my life. Like, I remember I was a teenager, and the first therapy I decided to do, it was a group therapist. I could never do it, like, just because the problems or the issues I had were all social. Like, and it was, I didn't feel it like that's something personal that I have to work out. It was like, oh, I can feel it, and I can see this here and there. How we are going to change it together? So, and after that, I ended up living in community, and together with a group co-creating community, and I've been working for like community movements, and I went back to university to study community building, community life, eco-village living. So I think it's part of my pathway. And I see many questions. I don't think we have the answers, but I really relate to these questions and keep like asking them and navigating through them.
Yeah, I can see that you are on this ongoing navigation, but somehow always contributing to have this positive impact. And I'm sure there are many ways to do it. Each of us can do it from a very different approach and skills. And it's a whole variety. What practices do you think can help individuals and collectives to, keep navigating or to start navigating towards a more positive change that the planet might need?
I think the first one is an internal decision, and so you need to tune in to yourself and see, like, everyone comes to contribute with something. What is your thing? And as soon as you are connected, you can start to do things outside. So the first level is about like self-development. And for me, eco-villages are the best schools. So I always invite people, come to spend a weekend, go to visit an eco-village, do a short course. And then they are like, whoa, now I understand. And I think that's my way of doing it. Or nowadays with like COVID and lockdowns everywhere, we could start to do it online. Like, we are not there in person holding hands, we are just talking about it, but we share from the heart and people can understand what we are talking about. I don't know, I think each one needs to experience and find their way. And somehow I've always been connected to nature, and so very early I could find my way. But I think the educational processes, formal and informal, should guide like children and youth in this way. And then it's something about like the ongoing self-development and learning how to deal with people that, like, it's so hard sometimes in a relationship with your partner or with your family, and like, we need more skills. And I think it's nice if we can teach and read and share and experience like these social skills to live well together.
Yeah, and you mentioned this connection with nature, which I believe is key in any individual or collective process when it comes to transformation or education.
I guess this was something else that we lost on the way. Like, we were like, ancient communities were very much connected to nature, and at one point we disconnected, and I feel it's a key part of the mess we are living. Like, we need to be able to understand the life cycles, and life is not about buying and throwing away. It's really about connecting and taking the most of it, and like kind of recycling or upcycling, and how can we close the loops. And I think nature is the best master in this case. Everything is there, and there is a life process that we should pay attention to.